Q Lewis, and I got my man Bo right here.
I say.
What's going on, man? We are two beers that are interested in bourbon and whiskeys. All right, that's where we got the topic from today. For real though. All right, so this is our first show. We are going to use this as our first show. We can go ahead and roll with that. So this is beers, bourbons, and whiskeys. So if you did just Google us and you found us on iHeartRadio or something like that, then that's what we're talking about today, man. We're talking about beers, bourbons, whiskeys.
Okay.
Everybody loves beers, bourbons, and whiskeys. They do.
They do. You think they do? I think they do. I think they do.
I feel like
I think you're right though.
So you know what? This is not gonna be your normal bourbon schnob show. All right, we're gonna talk about bourbons and whiskeys and stuff, but we gonna take it to a intermediate level, all right? Because by any means, we're not experts. I'm probably less of an expert than Bo,
but I wouldn't even use the word expert. I know I'm a little experienced in it. You know?
A little experienced for sure. So this is how we gonna do it, man. We're gonna start off talking about the drink of the day, and today just happens to be Jack Daniels. All right, so we're gonna get into that. But also, we're not just going to talk about whiskeys and bourbons. Though. We're going to talk about some popular topics of the time as well. So let's get into it. We're talking about Jack Daniels, and here we are, right here with the Jack Daniels. If you're not familiar, Jack Daniels is a Tennessee whiskey. And Bo, like, what's the difference between Tennessee whiskey and, let's say, a Kentucky? All right, do whiskeys come from Kentucky, or is that just bourbon?
So,
right, break it down for us.
Yeah,
break it down for us.
You can really distill bourbon like pretty much anywhere, right? Okay. Yeah, everybody knows, like, bourbon is like something Kentucky, though, right? You feel me? Sure. As far as whiskey goes, if it's not made, distilled in Tennessee, it's not a Tennessee whiskey. Simple as that. So it's just real simple. You know what I mean?
Sounds
I just keep it real simple for you. So, whatever we make up here in Detroit or Miami is just known as whiskey.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what's up. So we chose Jack Daniels, obviously because it's one of the more recognized brands, something that you can just go grab off the shelf. So if you see this on the shelf, then you know what we're talking about. So let's go ahead and bust it open, man.
That's what's up.
I'll let you do the honors.
Well,
this is some neighborhood stuff that we're doing right here. You don't have to tap the bottle.
No, you ain't got to tap the bottle. It's a little ritual, I guess you could say.
Yeah. So
just need some keys or something.
Yeah, just to give you a little background while he's opening the bottle. Where that comes from is probably some kind of urban folklore, right? So I've heard back when I was a child, not that I was drinking when I was a child, but I saw people drinking. And what they did is they tapped the bottoms of the bottles to ensure that nobody got sick or threw up after they started drinking. I don't know if this actually works because still, even after that, I saw people throwing up. So I don't think it really works. But that's how we're doing it right now. So we got some of this good Tennessee whiskey going on, and we go pour up, and then what do they call it? 1 finger, 2 fingers.
1 finger, 2 finger, basically. Yeah.
I'm gonna do 1 finger,
ounce, 2 ounce things.
Yeah, I'm gonna do 1 finger. That was just I got fat fingers, so I'll let you pour your own miseries. All right, so let's ask you this then, and then I'll answer the question as well. With the Jack Daniels, when was your first time drinking Jack Daniels?
Man, first time drinking.
Right? Do you remember that at all?
I think I was in high school because I think it was
I
think it was like my senior year in high school.
Okay.
I think after football season and whatnot, and
of course it was after football season.
Of course it was after football season. Just got together with some of the homies. Yeah. Had a couple drinks, just kind of celebrate, man. After college, and I think it was Jack Daniels we started with. Yeah.
I'm tripping. I didn't have Jack Daniels until I was a super adult.
Oh, straight up?
Yeah, super adult. Man. I didn't have...
Because in Canada, you go over there, I got to rewind that day. It was high school, but Canada, I think that's really when it came on the radar for me. Yeah. Let me get a Jack and Coke. That's just kind of
Man.
You know what I mean?
I didn't start drinking Jack and Coke or Jack and anything until... Man, this probably gonna sound crazy. I think I was probably in my 30s, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, I never really drunk Jack Daniels, so we can salute to that.
Well, most definitely.
For sure. So yeah, it is one of the intermediate whiskeys. I think though, let's just take a sip here. It's not as smooth as some others. Definitely a little more financially obtainable.
It is that.
It is financially obtainable.
Because I think this bottle here, this is fifth. I think this ran about $25. $25.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if you really like whiskey, you may not want to drink it. You probably can drink it neat. If you don't like whiskey or you're not into it like that, maybe a couple ice cubes and then everybody, pop.
Now,
when you said
Jack and Coke, I know that's one of the staple drinks right
Mm-hmm.
there. What do you think about Coke or any kind of chaser? Like, does it kill the vibe of a whiskey? Because to me, I feel like it does. I feel like it's easier to drink when it's mixed, but at the same time, I think it takes away from the essence of what the whiskey is.
I feel that. So for me, yeah. I think I like to taste the whiskey, like you said.
Right.
I drink mine neat, straight. When I'm drinking, now I don't drink Jack Daniels neat, but
Right. You gotta put some Coke in there.
yeah. But so that's how I like it. But I will say this, people kind of like to criticize others' drinks, and you don't put this and that. Don't drink your drink however you like it. You know what I mean? Because
sure.
you drink it. You spend your money on it.
Right.
So drink it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Drink it how you like it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So
you said you had this back in high school. Mm-hmm. Now at this point, obviously,
senior year,
right?
Which I think I'm some kind of alcoholic out there now. Yeah.
Right, still under 21.
Still under 21, but
statute of limitations.
I can go to war. Right? That's a different topic.
Oh man, that's a whole nother topic, which we may discuss at some point during the season. All right, but like just drinking from then to now, and then like your palate being different. Would would Jack Daniels ever really be your go-to at any point now?
My go-to, no.
Yeah,
that'll never be my go-to.
And why is that though? Like it's not too harsh.
No, it's not.
It's not extra smooth either. But
to be quite honest, I think some of that is the stigma. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Just like it's known as that Jack and Coke, like that party or whatever.
Right.
And then I'm not a fan of the taste. It's something I drink when I want to get drunk. You know what I mean?
Get straight to it. Get straight to it. Yeah.
If I want something that got a little taste, got a little class to it or something, I know we can get into this a little later, but Eagle Rare, some Blantons, something like that.
Yeah,
and then
now if this like not to be offensive to anyone who Jack Daniels is your drink. I think what it is, I think once you start tasting other things, this is just like any life experience. Once you start experiencing more things, then you realize what you had before really wasn't the lick.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Definitely wasn't the lick. I do honestly I like it because, like I said, it's not too harsh. It's not all the way smooth like some of the things that I had. But at the same time, though, I think it's one of those intermediate steps where it's definitely better than a brandy or a cognac. That's the thing, though. I think it's a black stigma. I mean, it is. It's an African American stigma. To have cognac as your drink of choice, and it really is. I mean, you grew up, all you hear about is Hennessy and what's the other one? Martell, things like that. So like it was a stigma, and quite honestly, whiskeys and bourbons and scotches always seem to be white people drinks. So we here to kind of bust up that stigma for people who not really hip to bourbon or whiskey. Like this is your entry level introduction to it. So that's what I want to hear. Now, people that's listening or watching this after the fact, of course, you can leave comments below if you got you can tell us what your favorite whiskey is or your first whiskey experience was. Now I think that Jack Daniels probably was. You know what? I take that back. Jack Daniels wasn't my first whiskey experience. My first whiskey experience.
Oh, here we go.
Was Royal Canadian. Now this is Canadian whiskey, but that was my first whiskey experience. And salute to my mom's, man. Rest in peace. But I remember she used to buy like half a pints of what was it? What was it? It was Windsor Canadian. It was another one. But I think it was Windsor Canadian that I had.
Okay.
But like a half pint was like $2.
Was it Canada Club or something like that? Or?
They had Canada Club too. That was CC. Yeah. All Canadian whiskey. But half a pint be like $2.50.
Let me say this real quick though. Before we get up in the Canadian. So, we talked about Tennessee whiskey, right? If it's not made in Tennessee, it's whiskey.
Right.
But then, we throw it in Canada in there, and I think we throw a couple of elements in it, right? So there is Canadian whiskey, there is Japanese whiskey, there is Irish whiskey, that has, differences and whatnot. Yeah. So it may not have that same taste or bite or... even like the
Canadian
say
whiskey
alcohol
tastes
content.
like water. Well, at least Canadian Club.
We
get into the
Canadian whiskeys tend to have more rise than just regular like Tennessee bourbon or regular bourbon or to whiskey I should say.
Now Crown Royal is a little bit different.
It's still a Canadian whiskey. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the CC, man, the Canadian Club and the Windsor Canadian. I think it was Windsor Canadian. And that was pretty rough. But that was my first experience, and obviously I wasn't supposed to be drinking. I stole it from my mom. But yeah, it definitely wasn't a great experience. Now, before we started the show, though, I don't know if you guys are familiar with some of the folklore surrounding Jack Daniels. Now we're not gonna get into it all the way because we're gonna save that for a different show. But legend has it that Jack Daniels actually borrowed. We'll say borrowed. You know what I'm saying? We'll say borrowed. Borrowed this technology from a slave at the time, right? So there was now if you're familiar with Uncle Nearest, all right. So if you've heard of that brand, like I said, I don't want to get too far into it, all right? Because it's such an interesting story. But like I said, I really don't want to get all the way into it. But the legend has it that a slave by the name of Nearest, that was his nickname, I believe.
Yeah, it was like Nathan Nearest Green or something.
Exactly. Yep, that's it. And so he actually had the technology. Began to be Jack Daniels' mentor, I guess you would call it. He learned all the distillery game, and then, of course, dude was a slave. So Jack Daniels came through with Jack Daniels, and that's what you have here. So just recently, maybe about almost 3 years ago, a young lady by the name of Fawn, right? What was
Fawn Weaver? I believe
yes, Fawn Weaver has a company who's actually dedicated to the history of that actual time period where this happened. So by doing that, she came up with Uncle Nearest, which is basically a reference to my man's for actually coming up with the real deal on the distillery. Now, you had said before, and this is something I didn't see. You said that originally came from some of his it wouldn't even be ancestors at that point. It would have been some family members,
right? Yeah. So like whether it's his father or grandpa, whoever it was, but so like where his family came from in West Africa when they were stolen from Africa. They were really big into the distillation and fermentation processes there,
right.
As far as using fruits and things like that. So they already had knowledge about the whole distilling process.
Yeah.
Just you throw in a couple of different equations. Just like black folks anywhere else. Go make that shit work. You know what I mean?
I was just gonna say, and just like anything else, most things that happen in America have been borrowed from other technologies. So if you're a normal bourbon snob, then you may not even like this show because we gonna be talking a little bit of shit.
Yeah.
Now, just to get off of the whole whiskey thing for just a moment, we just kind of piggybacking on it, but kind of off of it. What I did want to talk about today is entrepreneurship, right? And this is obviously something that's prevalent in this situation here, especially when you figure that somebody who was a slave at some point could have actually had a whole enterprise at this point. And I bring that up because I was thinking about back in the day, quite a few years ago when I was a young man. I did an internship at Black Enterprise magazine, right? And Black Enterprise is obviously a Black-owned and Black-founded business, not periodical. I guess they do call them that still, but it's a magazine.
Media company.
Yeah, media company. Yeah, whole media company, actually, yeah. Because they got digital everything now. But at the same time, I'm thinking, like, while I was there, I saw the importance of it. It's like, it's not a lot of us, and we need an outlet to, like, show Black entrepreneurism. Now, I guess my question to you is, do you think that is still important? Like, is it important to be a Black entrepreneur as important as being just an entrepreneur, period? Like, do we still need to have that divide?
I think so, yeah. I mean, because if you just keep it to entrepreneur, I mean, we see that. I mean, that's nothing more than somebody, from the hood. That's nothing more than, gentrification, right? Really. I mean, people coming in, flipping properties and, things like that. That's really what it is.
Right.
Well, the aspect of it anyway. But so, I think it's important that we see our own people, like Fawn Weaver doing big things with, things that were initially our idea. But, you got this whole brand of Jack Daniels, that... Is, like you said, is a whole it's like an icon in American culture.
It's an icon. Yeah, it's an icon.
Based off of the knowledge of a slave. So exactly. I think it's very important to make that designation.
Yeah, and I was thinking that too, and I think that's why it was important for this whole Uncle Nearest brand to even be what it is, only because like I think we need to know that history, especially as Black people who are looking for longevity, because this is the thing. I think that we spent so much time trying to be rich that we never thought about the idea of being wealthy. And like this is wealth, though. This is generational wealth. Like Jack Daniels, we're talking about in the 1800s. So you're talking about like 200 years of wealth, dog. You know what I'm saying? So we don't look at it like that. And I think for Fawn, man, salute to her, because even though this is not her direct lineage, you know what I'm saying? Like she is still keeping on a legacy, though. And then this in turn is gonna build her legacy. You know what I'm saying? So I think that definitely this is the thing. What I don't know, and this isn't just always just about entrepreneurship, but what I don't know is how effective it is to continue, and it's probably gonna be weird to say, to continue the divide between, you know, the races. If we continue to do that, will we ever become a part of the mainstream history, though? If we make everything Black history, we like, you know, a Black person did this, a Black person did that. At some point, we need to be the majority where we don't have to say that. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
I think I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you know, I'm with you. You know, almost to a point where, yeah, you want to give respect and credit where credit's due. Yeah. But I think also to a point you don't want to water down Black history, right? Yeah. Where just everything is this, everything is us, and you know, and like I get that, you know. Right. But then if it's everything, you know, what's important, and you know what really stands out, you know, what am I really learning, those type of things, right? Right. So I think when there's everything, you know, people tend to take it for granted, you know.
This is true.
So you make that, if you do make that designation, then I think that's why we keep the identifier on it. Like, yeah, we did this. You know what I mean? Right? Identifier. Yeah, for sure. But if it's, you know, say, you know, you got a guy like like Jeff Bezos with Amazon, right? Okay. You know, we just can't go and say, oh, a Black person really thought about the idea of Amazon. I mean,
yeah, so I think that I know your feelings all that shit, obviously. I think I already know.
Anybody that knows me.
Right. I just don't want to continue the divide and then we lose, like, because at some point, I know this is probably not rational, but I want to be recognized in the overall history, and not just always be reduced to Black history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, you want that fraction to become part of the whole, I guess. You know, exactly. I feel you. Yeah,
which is probably. Yeah, it's probably not reasonable, but
I mean, I can understand, you know, wanting that to happen. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this is me being negative or just being a realist. I don't think it's ever going to happen. You know,
you sound like a lot of people.
But and then again, you look at the other side of the coin. It may have to happen at some point because, you know, you look at the rest of the world. You know, they follow behind what we do in the United States. Right. And the United States follows behind usually what the Black culture is doing. Exactly. You know, so at some point, yes, that designation has to be made. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I can remember growing up, you know, pops, moms talk about, you know, rap and whatnot, just, oh, that's just a fad, it's going to go away. And you look at it now, you know, not at all, right? Right. So I think at some point, people want to recognize that, you know.
That's just what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Now with this, I think this is a major step, though, especially, well, I'm talking about the Uncle Nearest distillery. I think this is a major step because whenever you talk about alcohol, I think about one of the biggest industries like in America, or if not the world. Definitely. You know what I'm saying? Like I think it's one of the major industries. Mm-hmm. So to have a kind of a foothold on that, I think it's something major, something that we can definitely build off of. And I think that stories now after this after Jack Daniel's story, I think we gonna start hearing about other ones too that kind of probably did the same thing. I'm guessing.
I'm sure.
Yeah, some of like the Irish whiskeys and stuff like other places, maybe not so much. Yeah. Maybe, I'm not sure because I don't know. Black people is everywhere, but the ones here though, it's no doubt that there's some stuff that's been stolen because they knew how to do stuff, or they were forced to know how to do things. You know what I'm saying? That you probably would have never had no idea of. Just like, you know, the cotton gin and shit like that. Right. We won't get all into that.
Was it Eli Whitney?
Yeah, exactly. We won't get all the way into that. Yeah. But I mean, that's Black entrepreneurship though, so it leads me back in another circle into this. I think Black entrepreneurship is definitely super important now, and I have to be honest when I say that. When I was there again many moons ago, I saw the importance of it. And then as I got older and I started seeing more Black millionaires, more Black billionaires, and some with some real ownership, I started thinking that maybe it's not as important, and I think I start falling into that trap. Because I mean, it is a trap though when you look at it though, right?
Yeah,
it's
it really is.
They feed you the narrative like, you know what, you've overcome, and no, we haven't.
No.
No, we haven't. But it make you feel like that though. So then you see stories like this, and it motivates you again. Like, you know what, we getting our just due. But this is one liquor though. Yeah, this is one distillery, which I'm not complaining because we got to start somewhere. But I'm pretty sure that there's others, and I'm sure there's other things that we need to uncover. But at the same time, how much energy do we spend on that instead of just creating something else? I don't want, but you know what? I feel bad I said that though, because then by saying that, it's like disregarding somebody else's legacy. So you're kind of stuck in the middle, right?
Stuck in the middle a little bit, yeah. Right. I see where you're coming from, though, right? I mean, at some point, it's just, you know, yeah, like this morning, right? The whole Shaq and Papa John's thing, like something like that, right? I think that's like a prime example.
True.
You know, I wanted to bring those locations to HBCUs and things like that.
Right.
And here's where I have faults at it with, right? You know, I see nothing wrong with his intentions, or anyone's intentions that's trying to do that, right? But yeah, it's gonna be a but,
But
when you have someone that has blatantly shown to you that, hey, this is what I think and feel about you, right? Then I got an issue with that, right? And then I think we always
talking about the CEO of Papa John's right now.
Right, yeah. Because whether or not you're 1% that believes that company, 99%, may have different views. Right. Like we spoke earlier, you build 10,000 bridges.
Yeah, that one.
If that one, that one is the face of your company.
True that.
So, make a long story short, basically is if they want to come back into the community and do that, I need a long, detailed plan of how. Just putting a location on campus that doesn't help anybody on that campus really. It helps whoever owns that franchise or whatever. That's what it helps.
Yeah. Now, what if he was able to do something like that though, to bring it on campus and allow students to have a percentage of the franchise? Would that be something? That
would be something. I don't think that'll ever happen. I don't think your shareholders, especially in a publicly traded company, I don't think your shareholders would let that happen.
But I mean, you can franchise as, what I'm saying, right?
You can franchise, but still, even though you franchise, you still are, every company has that policy. You got to follow, X, Y, and Z, right? And so,
low-key, that'd be dope though. If they could figure
those definitely be dope, and I think something like that needs to happen. But then, to tell you the truth, to look at the other side of the coin,
we gonna work on that shit. We gonna get a franchise from one of you HBCU motherfuckers.
That would be dope.
Yeah, it would be.
But to keep it all the way 100 though, like the shareholders, you have a valid point, right? So in a capitalistic society, if you want into this company, do like what I buy into it. Yeah, even though. Yeah, so we have different circumstances.
So perhaps he could put up the money for them to buy into it.
What I'm saying is this. Yeah, that could be a. I just want to see what it looks like, what it's laid out, who's going to benefit, who's going to profit. Is there really going to be somebody from like a not privileged, disadvantaged background is going to be able to take advantage, or if this is going to be somebody's, niece or nephew that you happen to know or whatnot. Thing. So I want that's what I need for a company like that to benefit what's going to. Because think about what they're going to get. That one location alone. So I need to know what we get from this too. It's not just shitty ass. Not just pizza.
It's pizza on the college campus, so definitely it's gonna make money.
Most definitely.
So you're trying to see who gonna really benefit from it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I think this is where that entrepreneurship, conversation comes into play. If you're able to at least convince kids on campus to figure out a way to invest, like maybe even if they came up with a partial amount of the franchisee investment, and then maybe like Shaq or any other board members match their match them in order for them to be able to get that establishment.
So I'll be on board for something like this, right?